What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for TheLines.com, PlayPicks.com. Let's talk a little Monday Night Football and what a game it is. The game of Week 13 in the NFL this week, and it is the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. And man, this has a lot of implications, not just for the division. This has implications for the number one seed overall here. So this is a huge important game for both of these teams. As we see right now, we are sitting 2.5 or 3 in favor of the Buffalo Bills in this one, and a total is sitting somewhere. If you wanted to take an under, there's a 41 available. If you wanted to take an over, there's a 40.5 available right now, as you see on the screen. From an injury perspective, the Patriots, questionable, some pretty valuable guys. Defensive tackle Christian Barmore is questionable for them. Running back Brandon Bolden is questionable for them. Linebacker Ronnie Perkins is questionable, and so is offensive tackle Trent Brown. And one of the things that we know here that's going to be a big bummer for this team on the defensive side of the ball is safety Kyle Duggar is on the COVID list for the Patriots as well. On the Bills side of things, offensive guard Cody Ford, defensive end Efe Obada, and Obada, I should say. And then they had to put star corner Tre'Davious White on IR. So their best defensive player had to go to IR. So it is it's an injury fest here, at least for this one. And then of course the starting safety Kyle Duggar's on the COVID list, and then in star defensive back in Tre'Davious White. So one on each side, definitely not going to be out there in this one. So one of the other big things here in this one, guys, is the fact that we are going to be looking at, and I'll scroll down here so you can kind of read the preview while I'm going on here. One of the things we're going to be dealing with is weather in this thing. So it is at least going to be 20 mile per hour winds. We do know that. Now, could there be gusts that reach 30 plus miles an hour? That's what we don't really know. Won't really know until we get much closer to game time, but we do know it's pretty close that it's going to be 20 miles an hour plus winds in this thing. It's going to be sub-freezing as well, and we're likely to get some sort of winter weather now, whether that's before the game, during the game, after the game, we don't know, but it's going to be coming for sure. So there'll be all of that as well. So, I mean, just know as we head into this thing, that's what we're going to be dealing with. Now, if we look at this overall, what we're getting here in these two teams is definitely a couple of good defenses. I'm not taking anything away from either one of these defenses, but if you look at their ratings, right? I mean, like Buffalo, number 1 DVOA, number 1 pass defense DVOA, number 4 rush defense. And then you look at New England, and they're the number 2 overall DVOA defense, number 2 pass defense DVOA. Pro Football Focus thinks it's the top 5 defense according to them. But if you look at the schedules of both of these teams, and you can only play who's on your schedule and you can only play who's in front of you. But neither one of these teams have played a murderer's row of opponents. They've actually, if you look at the defensive strength of schedule, the Bills is 32nd, dead last, obviously, so the easiest schedule in the league. And New England's is 30th. So they've played the easiest and the third easiest schedule as far as offensive opponents for these defenses. So look, the numbers are great, but just keep in mind that neither one of these teams has played a tough schedule at all when it comes to the opposing offenses that they played. So will it hold up against what is, again, good offenses? The New England's offense is good and Buffalo's offense is good. Now, Buffalo's offense is not as good as maybe some of the scoreboards have shown. If you look, this offense really is more middle of the pack when it comes to the advanced metrics. And that's one of the things you look at all the points that they score and you start to wonder like, oh man, what are you talking about? Like, no, man, if you look at the advanced metrics here, 16th overall DVOA, 16th overall Pro Football Focus. If you look at just the other stuff that we like to really look at, yards per pass, 13th in the league. So it's not bad by any stretch, but it's more like middle of the pack when it comes to the offensive production. Kind of the same thing with New England, though Pro Football Focus tends to like this offense much more than DVOA does. Pro Football Focus actually has the second overall offense in the league, as where Pro Football Focus has them 11th. But yards per play, 14th. Early down success, 11th. Early down EPA, 17th. So, I mean, again, they're good offenses. They're not great. And these defenses are really, really good by advanced metrics, but not necessarily, but they've played just, cupcake schedule so far. So it'll really be interesting to see how this all kind of plays out. But when you start to look at the matchup from the weather perspective as well, who does that favor? When we're talking about these wins, right? Well, it's going to be easier to complete short passes than it is long passes. And if you look at average depth of target, Josh Allen has one of he's like third overall in the NFL as far as average depth of target. He's in the top 5 for sure. And then you have Mac Jones is down at 22nd as far as average depth of target. Quarterbacks that have played at least 50% of their team snaps. So the further you throw the ball down the field in super windy conditions, the less accurate that it's going to be. The more likely it is that the wind is going to affect it. So Josh Allen likes to throw the ball further down the field than Mac Jones does. Then you look at kind of how these overall offenses play from a rush standpoint. And the Bills just don't want to run the ball very often. I mean, they just don't. They're just not an offense that wants to run the ball. The rush offense DVOA is 19th in the NFL. So you take a look at that as compared to New England's offense, which is the number 1 rush offense in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, number 9th overall DVOA. So if you have these horrible conditions, you can't throw the ball down the field a ton, that should lend itself to favoring more on the Patriots side of things than it does the Bills side of things. Does that mean Josh Allen runs a lot more in this game? Probably. So he might take the game into his own hands a little bit more. But I think when you kind of look at what this type of scenario favors, I really and truly think that it favors the New England Patriots. I think that this power running game that they have is really built for this type of weather, this type of year, these type of scenarios, this type of team that they're playing against. Buffalo plays a soft front. They don't want to give up the big play. That's the way that they do it. Except New England's built to kind of power run against these soft fronts. So if they're going to give that to them, a lot of teams can only pick up 3 or 4 yards a clip, and then eventually it fails and they have to punt the ball away. But that's not the case for New England. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with a ton of success in this game. So I have a piece of New England at plus 3.5. There were 3.5s available on the look ahead. I didn't get that much better than what you're getting right now because you can still get plus 3s. I know people that are playing New England in teasers as well. A super low total game that you could tease a team up to 9. That typically works out pretty well for you. I don't hate either one of those plays. I will probably try to find some teaser legs that roll into next week that I could run with the Patriots in this as well. I do have them straight up plus 3.5 as it is. I would take them plus 3 if I didn't already have the 3.5 in the account. And I'll probably be looking for some dance partners for a teaser leg as well with New England, again, in a plus 9 scenario in a game with a total of 41. That's been highly profitable when you have that many points in a game with such a low total. Speaking of this total, if this thing continues to fall, we might be getting too much of an overreaction here from this weather scenario. If we tune in on Monday night and everybody watching at home for the first time is starting to see this weather stuff and they had no idea about it, remember how many people are betting into these markets now. And they see snow all over the field. They show a picture of the flag just going crazy in the wind, all this stuff like that. If this total continues to fall, if we get a 39, which we've seen these things fall into the 30s before, I'm probably going to come in on the over because that's just too big of an adjustment here, especially when we consider, like I said, New England isn't a pass heavy team as it is anyway. They're certainly not a big play pass team. And so I think if we see this total continue to fall, I will have no choice but to come in and play the over on this thing. Just too big of a correction for what these teams are. And listen, like I said, Josh Allen can still have success with his feet in this thing as well. As far as props go in this one, guys, look, Josh Allen, like I said, if you look at his rush yards, where are we at here on rush yards? So it's sitting at 34.5. If you believe that this weather is going to make him run more, that he's going to have more design run opportunities, that he's going to tuck it and run a lot more. If you think about what he's been able to do, even in conditions not like this, he's run for 35 or more yards in 7 different games so far this year. So if you think, in normal conditions, he's gone over 35 yards 7 or more times. If you think that these conditions make it to where he runs more and has to kind of control more of this offense, then you're on the over all day long on this. If you think it's not going to be that big of a deal, then you'll play the under. I tend to think he runs a little bit more and have a pretty strong lean to the over in this one. Some of the other props that I'm looking to play. Damian Harris, if you look at the receiving yards, and with the receiving yards sitting at 6.5, and then you have Stevenson as well, and you look at his receiving yards sitting at 12.5. What we're talking about with the Patriots is a team that is going to utilize the short passing game. And Mac Jones, they're going to make it easy on Mac Jones in these conditions. On the road, hostile environment in Buffalo, sub-zero temperature, sub-freezing temperatures and wind. They're going to give him high percentage throws. And I think that means a lot of throws to the backs out of the backfield. So I like the over on both of the backs, to be honest with you. In a condition that I feel like is going to be pretty crazy up there. And again, we'll watch this we'll watch this all the way up to kickoff, but I mean, every single forecast has the weather being just absolutely horrible in this thing. And so with that, short passes, high percentage passes, don't let the wind play a factor in it, passes to the backs. I like the over receiving yards on both of the backs for the Patriots in this game. Again, guys, I like the +3. If you want to put it in a teaser leg, roll it into next week. I think that's a good play as well. Getting 9 points in a total of 41 is a pretty high percentage play. You just need to find a teaser leg that you like next week as well. Probably won't same game this one, but if you did, the way that I would go about it would be New England and then the under, teasing the 41 up to 47. That would be the way if I wanted to play a same gamer on this one. Guys, everything we do, absolutely free over at the line. So be sure, go over, check things out. Up here in the right-hand corner, we have a new Discord channel. So be sure and join that as well, where we talk some football, college basketball, all the stuff that's going on. And of course, you're going to need to go ahead and subscribe to this channel because we're doing a giveaway before the end of the year. And all you have to do is be a subscriber to be automatically entered in this thing. Give us a thumbs up and then let us know in the comment section how you're playing Monday Night Football, guys. Is there anything we missed? What prop bets do you like? Which side do you like? What do you think about this total? Do you think the wind and the weather and stuff is going to play as big a role as everybody thinks? Good luck on all your bets here on Monday night.